Alright, YouTube, had to put my coat on because the bottom's dropped out temperature-wise. It's going to go back up. It's not like it's winter yet, but I'm not just doing a wardrobe change for looks here. It really is a little bit chilly to me. I'm going to be having some hot chamomile tea later, so I'm going to be enjoying my night. There's another Clinton scandal. It's sort of tied in with all the other scandals. Most of this exists within sort of the lexicon of WikiLeaks, Judicial Watch, some of these advocacy groups that are trying to keep politicians accountable. It's very funny, by the way, to see the Democratic Party launch an all-out inferno of propaganda against the same sort of groups that they were widely applauding not that many years ago. And whenever they go after like Putin or some Republican in Congress or something, they cheer them on and they clap heartily. And then, of course, they aim their guns on Hillary Clinton, who has the most baggage of any presidential candidate ever to run for the office. I can't think of a single person in the history of U.S. Politics that's had more baggage, more scandals, and is more of an obvious chronic liar than Hillary Clinton. Which is another reason why I don't think that she's going to win. I like to think that at least 51% of the population can see through her bullshit. I think that's the case. Time will tell, but I'm optimistic. Apparently, the Clinton Foundation sought direct access to the State Department. Now, there are two links in the description. One's to the article specifically about this, and I'll read a little bit from it. But the other link is to WikiLeaks because they're saying, oh, there's going to be a bombshell. And I think it may be related to this, but maybe they've already combed through some of this material dropped by Judicial Watch, and sort of through this federal judge said, well, these new, like, I think it was 14,900 new emails, so about 15,000 have to be given out to the people, have to be able to read them and go through them. But it may not be directly related to this specific email, in which case maybe there's something even more damaging. Can you imagine a double whammy at this point in the race? It's not even the debates yet. She gets hit twice more on an issue. It's already her biggest weakness. Her biggest weakness is that she's seen as untrustworthy. Now, if you don't have any continued scandals or unseemly things going on, it can be overcome. She doesn't have to dispel the fact that she's a chronic liar, which she can't do effectively anyway. She just has to avoid it being in the public consciousness when they're going to the polls or when the debates are happening or something. But it's going to plague her, because if you try to make policy proposals when you're seen as a total liar, nobody's going to believe your policy proposals. That's the problem. With Trump, evil, racist, bigot, wants to start World War III, it's pretty easy to work past that. It's not so easy to work past being a liar. Because once you're a liar for life. People are always going to remember you as the liar, and anything you say in your defense can and will be used against you, whether you're deserving or not. Even if there really is a fake scandal sometime down the road, people are going to assume that Hillary's guilty. They're not going to give her the benefit of the doubt, and that's a problem. But I'm going to read this little thing right here, if I can actually find it in here. CP of Bahrain in tomorrow to Friday, asking to see her, wrote Mr. Band, using shorthand for Crown Prince of Bahrain. Of course, this is a little sort of like Arabic microstate, oil rich, banking cartel sort of area, very, very wealthy. Sort of like Qatar, some of these other locations, some of the big cities in Arabia. Mr. Band, a longtime aide of former President Bill Clinton, added, good friend of ours. Apparently, what he was trying to do is set up a direct meeting with this individual in a capacity with the Clinton Foundation, of course. Only he was directing this at a staffer working directly under Hillary while Secretary of State, a State Department staffer. That's illegal. That's a big problem. It's also a very big conflict of interests. When in her official political capacity, she's still coordinating indirectly with her own so-called charitable foundation, which gets all of this money from overseas, asking for all of these apparent kickbacks. Now, let's not kid ourselves and act like other politicians don't do this. Obama's done it, Bush did it, all of them do it. It's common knowledge that this sort of thing happens. But to be caught out in doing it and to do it and not get caught are kind of two different things. The problem is it appears that Hillary is less adept at hiding her crimes as she used to be. It's like Richard Nixon. What Richard Nixon did was not that over the top, but he got caught doing it. That's why he got impeached. That's why he had to resign from office and step down. It wasn't that what he did was so absolutely vastly unseemly that it was unprecedented in the history of the United States. We look back and in retrospect, as things get declassified over time, we see all sorts of shit fuckery coming from our presidents, from senators, from governors. It's all over the place. It's systemic corruption and has been for, much longer than a century among most of these offices. You're looking pre-Gilded Age if you want to find people with a shred of common sense in their heads that weren't just carpet-bagged in there continually. I guess maybe Teddy Roosevelt knew better. That's about him and maybe like Ike or JFK, and that's sort of the last time we've had even the slightest bit of honesty in government's really a problem. But unfortunately, this is actually a situation where, like Nixon, she failed to cover her trail properly and got caught out doing this. I like to believe that there's somebody close to her who's been acting as a mole for some time and feeding material, making sure it doesn't get fully gotten rid of, making sure that that last pass with the erasing program didn't quite go through. Oops, sorry about that. Oh, yes, Miss Clinton, of course it's been properly erased. I like to think that there's some patriot in with the Clintons that's been doing that for some time. Then you have this weird army intel thing that they had an OPSEC that they were showing, and it shows Hillary Clinton as like a disgruntled former employee or somebody with an axe to grind against the United States. I think that may have been taken out of context, but it is very, very funny. And she was listed alongside Petraeus, so maybe the U.S. Army is actually putting her in that same category with people like Assange and Snowden. It's actually very, very funny. Or Manning or somebody like that. Like somebody who's just constantly embroiled in hemorrhaging classified intel. I like to think, though, that there's a difference between being corrupt and you're just improperly protecting all that stuff you're not really supposed to be storing the way you're storing, and somebody who's releasing it to the public out of the kindness of their heart, often to their own great detriment, as a patriotic action against what they see as being something that's wrong. But you've got direct collusion here, and then you've got WikiLeaks saying that there's going to be some new bombshell release, which may or may not even be directly related to this. We've got a twofer coming up for this week. It's going to be another bad week for Clinton. She already had a really bad week last week. People were ranting about how badly Trump was supposedly doing, to the point at which some of these people were wondering if he was even taking it seriously, which was never a doubt in my mind. But now it's really Hillary Clinton who's having some severe problems, and the problems will continue to get worse. That's my prediction. I don't think they're going to get better. I don't think that her campaign will last. I think that by the time November rolls around, it'll be fairly clear that she's not going to win. I don't think it'll even be particularly close. It's not going to be an absolute blowout, but it's not going to be so close that it's by the skin of his teeth that Trump takes the presidency, which is better than Clinton. I'm not going to vote for him, but at the same time, the lesser of two evils will be the one that gets elected. I guess that's preferable to the greater of two evils. I'm washing my hands of it. I refuse to cast my vote for either of these individuals. Although what Gary Johnson just said about carbon taxes has me wondering if I should bother voting for him either, honestly. Because about the furthest he could get from libertarianism on the issue. Maybe I'll vote for Vermin Supreme at this point. I don't even know anymore. Why don't I just fucking vote for myself? Yeah, I'm not old enough. Yeah, I'm not on the ballot. Who cares? Probably still more qualified than some of these people. You look through their dirty laundry, you're going to find a lot more than you're going to find on me. I never stashed classified intel on a private server. I never refused to pay a contractor that did work for me. I never had anybody assassinated. And let's face it, Trump may have done that too. Clinton is a little bit more obvious about it. I think she likes her enemies to know that she has people killed fairly regularly. It looks like at least 6 or 7 people have been killed in the last, 2 months or so. So it's getting to look a little bit suspicious, Clinton. You may want to slow down a little bit. Pace yourself. Pace your assassinations, or people are going to start wondering what's going on. Oh, one aside, the WikiLeaks Assange lawyer who got run over by a train, I believe that's actually an article from last year that was recycled through WikiLeaks, sort of an in memoriam thing, and people are now reporting on it as though he just died. I do not believe that that is actually the case. You can provide me a link if you can show me that it actually is. Then I'll be glad to admit that you're right. But I believe that the article was old and not recent. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's actually the case. So yeah, new Clinton revelations. More emails are going to be released. WikiLeaks has apparently combed through them and found something juicy. It may or may not be related to this. And this is juicy enough as it is. Even if it's just this release, that's pretty damning. That's quite a ways beyond just the normal, oh yeah, the DNC cheated. Oh yeah, cougar impregnation, which is the other big thing right now. Apparently, somebody working for Clinton's campaign who stepped down from the DNC did so because of some emails where he was ranting about wanting to impregnate a cougar. It's like, these are the people running the Democratic Party. Is there any other reason that we need to observe why they're not doing well right now, why they're out of touch, and why they're considered brutally despotic and utterly incompetent by the majority of the public? Is there any other reason that we need? Oh yeah, he's totally gonna impregnate that cougar. Now let me go back. Sorry though, I've got to delay it for an hour because I've got to organize the DNC. I mean, come on. I've never seen this level of sheer ineptitude before in any campaign. I've never seen it. There is no other modern comparison. Maybe Dukakis or something like that. It's sort of before my time. I don't really remember that stuff. Maybe Herbert Walker or something. Maybe. Even that, though, I think that pales in comparison to what we're seeing. At the very least, and I said this even before all these leaks, when it wasn't even clear who the nominees were going to be, at least it's more exciting than past elections. At the very least, we can at least laugh while Rome burns. They're fiddling while Rome burns. At least we can chuckle because it's entertaining to us. It's still burning. Shit's still all totally fucked up. The economy's fucked, where there's enemies everywhere, and the world is going to hell, basically. But it's funny. It's a funny hell. So, yeah, it's better than it could be. At least it's tolerable to some degree. Hillary, my God, she's gonna screw the pooch, I mean, without anybody else having to help her, because she's just so fucking incompetent. That's about all. Peace out.